News is flowing in. We have to talk about Ayuk. Malik Neighbors just got a pretty big update, but regardless of it all, we are going to go ahead. We are going to get into a 2024 fantasy football draft right away. This is going to be Best Ball Mania. This is the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. I'm sure you all have seen me do these 1,000 times. It's a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. First place is $1.5 million. Then you get at least $100,000 all the way down to the first 20 places, which I'm sure you've heard me say a million times by now, but I actually got 16th place in this tournament a couple years back. So this year, that'd be good for $100,000. So let's go ahead. Let's get this going. And yes, maybe we can get Big Q in this draft if that's what y'all really want. Y'all know I'm willing to run back the hits. This offseason, Big Q has been a hit. But anyway, we get pick 1 in this draft. What's interesting is I'm the only person in this draft that has a red badge. So if you look at the badges on Underdog, typically a red badge means you've done at least 1,000 drafts. A white and black badge means you've done 500 drafts. Early in the offseason, when everybody is just like sickos drafting in the summer, in June, in May even, everybody you're drafting against essentially has a red badge or at very minimum a black and white. But here, this is a draft where anything can happen. But let's go ahead and let's get this draft underway. Should be a good one. Starts in 8 seconds. At pick 1, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey. CMC is very scary. I get it. But he scored 100 more points than the running back 2 last year. And we are actually going to get in a $500 draft later in this live stream as well. Right now, I am in the big dog lobby. There are 5 spots open in that draft for anybody who wants to draft with us. I'm just waiting for that to fill before we switch over there. But much love for everybody coming out. And let me pull up just the Underdog Twitter because it will give us a great sense of all the news that we need to talk about right now. So one thing that will be interesting is that the 2-3 turn, obviously, this is the price on Underdog. You have to either decide between Malik Neighbors or Brandon Ayuk. All offseason, I've been taking Brandon Ayuk ahead of Malik Neighbors. Now, what's interesting is the Giants are going to unretire pick number 1 for Neighbors this year. Which everybody's going nuts, going, oh my gosh, Malik Neighbors is going to just be the new face of the franchise. This is insane, blah, 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 blah. And I'll stand by. If you're in your regular redraft league and you're able to get Malik Neighbors, say, in rounds 4, 5, 6, 100% take Malik Neighbors there. And where he goes in Underdog drafts in round 2, I'm still going to be avoiding him. I don't care if they unretired a number for him. Next thing is Russell Wilson was named as the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback. Don't know if that has a super big impact for anybody here. Dalvin Cook signs with the Dallas Cowboys. This is interesting to talk about. No, I don't think you should pick up Dalvin Cook. But if we're looking at Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle, if Dalvin has any role here whatsoever, it can negatively impact the other running backs in this situation. So I don't know. I think it would make me a little more hesitant to go through and to draft those other RBs because I don't think Zeke's good. I don't think Rico Dowdle's good. I think the situation's really good because everybody in the backfield's bad and it's a great offense. But I don't know. Obviously, I'm not going to be making any dramatic updates with my rankings. It's just a small, noteworthy thing where I just want to say, if you're using it as a tiebreaker, you probably go in the other direction of the Dallas running back at this point. But definitely I'm not interested in Dalvin Cook. Most likely, he's nothing. Noah Brown signs with the Commanders, so maybe that makes you a little less excited about someone like Luke McCaffrey. And Brandon Ayuk was supposed to show up to practice today. And Brandon Ayuk did not show up to practice today. John Lynch does not seem super happy about it. The Niners supposedly are maybe preparing for week 1 to not have Trent Williams, to not have Brandon Ayuk. So I don't know how this plays out. With the Ayuk situation, he said he didn't want the trade. He said, no, I'm good. I don't want to go to New England. So at this point, what is the move? And yes, Jamar Chase was not at practice today either, which is crazy. TJ says he's sick of Ayuk because he has him in fantasy. Well, in the Flock League, Jamar Chase was my first round pick at pick 7. So I'm getting a little bit concerned about Jamar Chase. What's nuts about Jamar is if he's really holding out for a contract, he was drafted the year after Justin Jefferson. So he's trying to get his contract a year early. He's still on a deal for 2024 and presumably 2025 as well. So I don't see really the leverage that Chase has in this instance. Maybe Ayuk has a little more leverage. Ayuk wasn't drafted in 2021 with Chase, drafted in 2020. So I don't know. Here in this draft, you see Jamar Chase go a pick 6. He does go behind Amon-Ra St. Brown, which, like I said in our latest wide receiver rankings video, I did move up St. Brown ahead of Jamar. Just because also, too, like, if Ayuk, if Jamar, they come back, like CeeDee Lamb just came back this week, they have 2 weeks to prepare for the season. If that, they have a week to prepare for the season. They have 10 days. Obviously, I'm sure that they're out there, they're practicing on their own, but still, it's not good. I think at this point, even in an underdog, you can go with Breece, you can go with Bijan over Chase if you really want. LOLG says, hey, Mason, love to see how far the community has grown in the last year. Who do you be taking between Chase and St. Brown for upside? Much love, my guy. Happy to see you. And I'm probably going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. The thing with St. Brown is from a half points per game perspective last year, in half PPR, sorry, he had a better season than Jamar Chase has ever had. And you don't have the risk at the same time. So I'm pivoting, and I'm going with St. Brown over Chase. Now, let's see where this team in front of us decides to go. They took CeeDee Lamb in round 1. Obviously, we went McCaffrey. So specifically in these underdog drafts where running back's going to be easy to come by later and wide receiver won't be, I am going to go wide receiver. I am still not a massive elite neighbors guy because how bad that offense should be. So I am fine seeing Malik Neighbors go pick ahead of us, even if he had the jersey get unretired for him today. We will just double tap the turn here with Chris Olave and Davante Adams. The majority of the offseason here on Underdog, you actually had Olave and Adams as mid-round 2 picks. So I think this will be a very unique combo of CMC, Olave, and Davante Adams, and it gives us flexibility in the middle rounds, and I really do like this start. But, of course, real quick, if you don't know what we are doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. Code FLOCK will hook you up with my 2024 rankings, draft guide, and ADP consensus cheat sheet. Plus, code FLOCK will get you hooked up with a Travis Kelce special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard. It will get you hooked up as well with an exclusive Flock special pick'em, Christian McCaffrey, more than less than half a total yard, and a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You just need to make sure that you are in one of these states here if you want to take advantage of an underdog draft. You can see the map on the screen here. But yes, I do prefer Davante Adams over DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf has 1 year in his NFL career finishing higher than the wide receiver 20 from a points per game perspective. I'm not a super big DK guy. I'm not going to be willing to come out here and talk down on him in a big time way, but I don't think like DK Metcalf's just an absolute no-brainer of a pick. Okay. Now, let's see. Josh Jacobs goes off the board at 31. So that team at 7 going off the rails a bit, going Bijan, Achane, Jacobs. I'm not stressing about it when we have McCaffrey at pick 1. But I will let you know the historical data shows that if you don't take a wide receiver in the first 4 rounds of an underdog draft, you almost have no shot to win. Or at least that's how it was over the past 4 seasons. Obviously, this year may very well be different. But over the past 4 years, if you don't go with the wide receiver in the first 4 rounds, you're kind of toast. Okay. Let's see. Sleek says, how many leagues are you actually in where you're moving players and managing the team? So redraft leagues this year, I'm only going to be in the Flock League. And I have a bunch of dynasty leagues I'm in as well. We have dynasty leagues with members of flockfantasy.com. There I have somebody helping me out. And real quick, Brandon Ayuk falls to pick 35 in this draft. This is the furthest I've ever seen Ayuk fall. Super interesting team there at pick 11. But real quick, going back to it, I have somebody helping me out with my start-sit stuff in Dynasty. The issue that I personally have is on Sunday morning, I wake up at 6 in the morning. I go live at 7 a.m. Central, so I can live stream for 5 hours before the game. So I'm going through and I'm answering 1,000 questions Sunday morning, trying to help everybody I can with their starting lineups. So sadly, I really don't have a ton of time to have my own managed weekly leagues. So what I'm doing instead is I just have a ton of these best ball teams. I have a ton of dynasty leagues that I play in, but like I said, on Sunday morning, I have someone helping me submit my lineups. I have my rankings posted at flockfantasy.com, so they can just go ahead and look at my rankings. And then I have my main league that I care about, which is the Flock League this year. Okay. MLB Pitcher says, what subscription level do I need to look at my lineup? So if you wanted to join flockfantasy.com, if you wanted to join the Flock, if you do an annual Mother Flocker subscription, that comes not only with all the rankings, all the premium content, everything like that, but you also get a free team review every single year. And if you use code FLOCK with that purchase, and code FLOCK gets you 30% off any sub. But you can also, you don't even have to have a subscription. If you just wanted to go ahead, you could just purchase a team review directly on flockfantasy.com. If you do have a subscription though, with code FLOCK, any team review purchases that you have for me will also be 30% off. And same thing with all start sit questions and any trade questions. So if you think you're going to ask multiple questions throughout the course of the season, I would for sure make sure it would be much, much cheaper if you officially join the Flock. But Mutiny just joined. Love to see it, my friend. Love to see it. Now, Pablo says, Gibbs or Taylor, who do you like more? If it's a full PPR format, I prefer Gibbs for the receiving upside. That team at 7 decides to go ahead and take Jalen Hurts. So they are officially 0 wide receivers through the first 4 rounds. Surprising to see them take Jalen Hurts there, really. Marker word, much love, and looking forward to our meeting on Friday. Much love. And let's move this over. And let's talk about the possibility of Brandon Ayuk getting traded. Let me obviously prepare to make my 2 picks here, but I will say for the Brandon Ayuk trade situation, it is a very delicate spot for me in particular, because I personally have drafted a lot of Sticky Ricky, which in your regular redraft leagues, I don't think Ricky Pearsall really has the upside to make a difference. But specifically in underdog drafts, especially in all my high stakes drafts that I've done, Sticky Ricky is one of my most invested into wide receivers in all of best ball. We're going to go ahead and take Travis Kelce and Terry McLaurin here. I think you can make an argument to try to go bully tight ends and try to go Kelce and McBride, but I'm just going to be a little too scared to do so. So I have a ton of Ricky Pearsall. So obviously for that reason, I am kind of rooting for Brandon Ayuk to get dealt. Now on the flip side of that, if we think about the Brandon Ayuk landing spots, he can go to Washington, he can go to Pittsburgh, and really there aren't too many other situations that are being rumored at the moment. He already declined New England. I would love for him to go to New England. I'll talk about why for 1 second. But because specifically with the Washington situation, my main redraft league, the Flock League, I have Terry McLaurin. I took Terry McLaurin in round 6. So I don't want Ayuk over in Washington, because then Terry McLaurin just has a massive, massive hit to his value. In terms of him going to Pittsburgh, specifically over the past month with Roman Wilson being an 18th round pick in these underdog drafts, I have taken a crazy amount of Roman Wilson. And now Roman Wilson is one of my most invested into players from a dollar perspective. He's a round 18 pick. I think he has the upside to be the wide receiver 2 in that offense. So if Ayuk goes to Pittsburgh, that kills any hope for Roman Wilson. So I'm sitting here going, well, I don't want him to go to Pittsburgh. I don't want him to go to Washington, but I do want him to go somewhere. So what I selfishly would love is if we could potentially see him get shipped off to go to New England. If he could go to Cleveland, oh my gosh. He goes to New England, I am printing money this year. Like I'm literally the meme of like Jerome Powell just like turning on the money printer and money shooting out. That's my Underdog account if that happens. Just Kyler says, just joined. What's the take on Jamar possibly missing week 1? He most likely doesn't. It would be like unprecedented where he has like 2 years left where the Bengals kind of control him. He wasn't in the same draft class as Jefferson. He was in the draft class after. So he has another year on his contract. Jefferson didn't get paid until this offseason. So the baseline expectation should be that Chase doesn't get paid till next offseason. I don't know if this is posturing and him like sending a message saying, hey, you better know that next year I'm expecting to get paid right away. That may end up being what it is, but I don't know. Bodie says, how long does it take for you to respond to a team submission? I actually responded to yours today, my friend. I'm really happy you came out here and messaged us. Well, you should see in your email address saying like, hey, Mason reviewed your team here. Click this link to check it out. Or you can just go to flockfantasy.com and hit my reviews. And then there you should see that I sent you a message. I sent you an MP3 file that has a podcast breaking down your team. I really did like your team. But yeah, definitely just go to the My Reviews page on flockfantasy.com and you'll see it. I think you submitted yours like 2 or 3 days ago, and we got to it today. Okay. MLB Pitcher says, for the league ID on Flock Fantasy, what does it mean by needs credentials? So if you're linking on flockfantasy.com, you can link your Sleeper League, you can link your ESPN League, you can link your Yahoo League. ESPN, most of y'all are going to be playing in private leagues. So what we need like cookies attached to them. So our developer team had to build out specifically Safari extensions and Google Chrome extensions for us to be able to pull your ESPN, like cookies, league credentials, whatever they were. So you just go through, add the extension, and then we should automatically be able to do it for you. Yahoo, all you have to do is log into your Yahoo account, and then it links all your Yahoo leagues. And Sleeper, all you have to do is copy and paste your Sleeper League ID into flockfantasy.com, and then you're set up there. Okay. Now, Dave Montgomery off the board at 63. That's that team's first running back. I mean, you do have Kenneth Walker, Rachaad White, Joe Mixon off the board. So I believe Montgomery is the highest ranked running back according to ADP. But it's just weird seeing him go up pick 63. Okay. Let's move this over. Hollywood Brown off the board at pick 66. And yes, I am in the big dog lobby. It looks like there are 2 spots left in the $500 draft. So the $500 draft is for sure going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen for a little bit of time. That way we can draft more of this team here. But yeah, the $500 draft will happen, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't see if Teresa's in the chat. Teresa, please, do you mind responding to the email? I was trying to send you out some free merch, but in your email address that you sent, in your email that you sent to me, you sent me your address for the merch, but you didn't send me your sizes. So please, if you don't mind, just checking the email. I responded to it, essentially just asking for your sizes so I can get you hooked up with the merch. We have a bunch of stuff I can send you. But super interesting at this point to see Anthony Richardson fall this far. Obviously, we don't have an Anthony Richardson stack at this point, but I'm completely fine taking Anthony Richardson unstacked based off rushing upside. Richardson looked very bad in the preseason. I have no idea if he's going to be an actual good NFL quarterback. But what I'm pretty confident in saying with Anthony Richardson is he more likely than not is going to run the ball a ton. And if he can get on his Justin Fields, then cool. He'll be decent in fantasy, even if he's bad from a real life perspective. So I'm okay taking him here at pick 72. If I had a Houston Texans receiver, I definitely think you can take C.J. Stroud over him. Keno says, my Yahoo team submission doesn't work. How else could I go about getting a team review? One, please message. If you're in the Discord, message and cite issues that you're having difficulty with the Yahoo sync. We would love to figure that out ASAP for you, because if you sync your team with the league, we have a bunch of different tools that you can look at as well. But if you are just wanting to submit a team and you don't want to have to bother linking, you can just hit the top right little $ sign in the corner, and then you can hit the checkbox says my team's not linked, and you can just submit me screenshots of your league, and then of your team, and I can go through and I can answer everything there. Okay. Now, Extra Sour Cream says Richardson looked great in the game. People freaked out. I don't know. I was with the Domain guys, and they are Colts fans, and they were freaking out about how Anthony Richardson looked. And if you go back to where Anthony Richardson went all offseason in these underdog drafts, Anthony Richardson was essentially locked and loaded into a round 5 pick, where now Anthony Richardson is making it to us at pick 72. I mean, the Michael Pittman Jr. team decides to take Rachaad White and George Kittle over him. Yeah, and CJ Stroud falling very far as well. Hayden says, would I be able to get a breakdown for my dynasty and redraft on the site, or is it limited to one? Don't tell people, but just submit for review and submit screenshots of both team, and I got you, my guy. Okay. Kaiser says, thanks again for the insightful team review on flockfantasy.com today, Mason. Turtles. Okay, you're Turtles. Okay, just double checking. Yeah, that was a nutso team there, my guy. That was a fun one to check out. Okay, let's move this over. Jamison Williams goes 82. So obviously at this point, when we're sitting with Olave, Adams, McLaurin, Christian Watson at wide receiver, like I'm honestly okay with our wide receiver position, even with getting the elite tight end in Kelsey, getting the elite running back in CMC, getting a top end quarterback with Anthony Richardson. So if we have any running backs that we like making it to us at pick 96, I'm for sure willing to go in that direction. Okay. It's a Harrison thing, says, do you review ESPN teams? Yes, sir. Just go to flockfantasy.com. If you have an issue with linking your team, I would love for you to reach out to the developers in the site issues channel of the Discord so they can help you with that. Because if you link your team, there are also going to be a ton of different cool features that you can look at as well with your league. But like I said, if you have an issue linking your team, you can always just submit screenshots if you want. But yeah, I would highly recommend if y'all make an account on flockfantasy.com, use code FLOCK. Because then, specifically for me, you're going to get discounts on essentially everything. Okay, so Najee Harris off the board at 86. Ladd McConkey makes it all the way down to 84 in this draft. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Ladd fan in the world. But that team at 11 goes CJ Stroud at pick 83 without any other the Houston Texans guys. I mean, not the worst thing in the world, right? Because you can go ahead and, if you want to, you can look at Dalton Schultz later. Like, that is okay. And just CJ Stroud is a massive, massive value in comparison to the other players that are on the board at this point. Jaylen Warren goes 86. Okay. Now, I would have been happy about Jaylen Warren making it to us at 96. There was a decent little period where you were getting discounts on Jaylen Warren, where there were some drafts I got him in round 9 when people thought he was potentially going to miss some time from the hamstring. But now that it looks like hamstring's not going to be an issue, the days of the Jaylen Warren values are pretty much over. Isaiah says, Mason, you have to put Chase over Amon-Ra with his new haircut. I have not seen the new haircut, to be honest with you. But real quick, I actually really like this team. I would love to keep drafting it, but the $500 draft just filled. So let me go ahead and get the $500 draft pulled up here. Okay. So this is going to be the $500 draft. We get pick 9. Of course, I think this is the 4th $500 draft we've done on the stream this year. And every single instance, we've had a pick outside the top 8. Every single time. I don't know what Underdog has against us. I don't know why they're doing this to us. But once that draft starts, we'll pivot back over. Right here, this is still Best Ball Mania. This is still the $25 buy-in. But let's move it over. And I know, pick 9 is just absolutely brutal. Okay, I'm going to pull up the Jamar Chase haircut. 1 second. Tony Pollard goes, I think we're going to get Sutton. And then I think we could have gone with Jordan Love if you would have made it to us to pair with Christian Watson. But now that Love's gone, there are a couple different running backs that we can consider here. I think we're going to just double tap this Denver Broncos offense and take Javonte Williams as well at pick 97. I think Javonte gets a slight bump with Samaje Perine being cut, but yeah, let's move over to the real deal here. This is the $500 draft. Obviously, I want to be on record. For the love of God, if you were new to Underdog, do not be getting into a $500 draft. Be reasonable. If you're new to Underdog, go do some $3 drafts. Go do some $5 drafts. Get some practice in. But anyway, this is the big dog tournament. This is the tournament that I won 2 years ago for $100,000. Back then, it was only a $25 buy-in. So first place, I'm sorry, a $250 buy-in. So first place was $100,000. Now it is a $500 buy-in. So first place is $200,000. Just everything is doubled. Second place is $100,000. Third place is $80,000. Fourth place is $70,000. But this is my tournament. I would love to win it again. We won it 2 years ago. Came very close to winning it 3 years ago as well. And now it doesn't sound nearly as cool to say close to winning it versus actually winning it. But let's go. Let's go. Bijan at pick 7. Obviously, everybody watching this knows I want Justin Jefferson. We don't get Jefferson. Instead, we are going to go ahead. We are going to take A.J. Brown. I think with the Puka Nacua injury, A.J. Brown is pretty much a no-brainer here. But let me see if I can pull up a Jamar Chase haircut picture for us. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Jamar Chase. Are you talking about the Ayuk haircut? I don't see anything here, my guy. He's wearing what I believe is called a do-rag. I could be wrong. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. St. Brown has definitely a better haircut than that. St. Brown has blue hair. Are you kidding me? Okay. Yes, we're going to go Brown over Garrett. A.J. Brown's had 3 straight seasons with 2.7 yards per route run, whereas Garrett Wilson was the wide receiver 40 last year. Isaiah says he's going to DM it to us. Where are you DMing it, my friend? And we're going to go ahead. We will take Jonathan Taylor to pair up with A.J. Brown, and we will just stay very balanced through the first 2 rounds of this draft. Brian says, guillotine draft in 45 minutes. Let's go. Good luck, my guy. Good luck. And yeah, this is what I'm saying. Why? This is the 4th $500 draft we've done on this live stream. And every single time we've gotten one of the last picks. Every single time. This is a little bit of an interesting draft where you see Deebo Samuel go at 12 and Nico Collins go at 13. So I was going to get super excited if Jahmyr Gibbs fell to us at 16. I would have loved pick 9. If we could go A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm all over it. Okay. Let's see. Drew says Best Ball Mania is 92% filled. Yeah, definitely. If y'all are wanting to draft in Best Ball Mania, I would look to do so sooner rather than later. And also remember, tomorrow night we are going to have the Flock tournament on Underdog. Ooh, real quick, I also want to give a shout out to Underdog. What they actually did is a promo. This is for everybody that's both new and old to Underdog. Make sure y'all update the app. And if you update the app, Underdog actually has what's called a no sweat token. So essentially you're able to go through and you're able to create a pick'em slip. And I'm going to do so right now, just on another screen, so I can share a screenshot with y'all. But you're able to complete a pick'em slip with what's called a no sweat token. And this isn't an everyday thing. This is like a special Underdog promo that they have leading up to the start of the season. And if you go through and if you include that no sweat token, like let's create something for week 1 right now. Let's go with a... Ooh, I know what we want. We want Mahomes for more than 19.5 rushing yards. Okay, perfect. Oh, this is nuts. They allow you to do it on a boosted? I can't believe they let us do this. So, no, this is really, really cool. Y'all need to take advantage of it because Underdog also has Scorchers. So you can like boost it and take like long shots, which I figured they wouldn't allow you to do with this promo. I'm actually really surprised that they are. So like, for example, what we did is we just made a $10 pick'em for Thursday night kickoff on Underdog. $10 to win 98. We went with Lamar higher than half a rushing touchdown, Mahomes higher than 19.5 rushing yards, and Zay Flowers higher than 53.5 receiving yards. And if Lamar doesn't get the rushing touchdown, and technically we would typically lose this, instead we get our $10 back. So that's why it's called like the no sweat pick'em. So I definitely make sure you take advantage of that. And you have access to that even if you've had Underdog for years, or if, obviously if you're new to Underdog, you get it as well. But yeah, even if you've been on Underdog for a long time, you get it. But we're going to get DJ Moore here, where DJ Moore should be a pretty decent value at pick 33, making it to us. Okay. Let's move this over. Loop says, I feel like the boost never hit. Yeah, that's why I was thinking that Underdog wouldn't let you use it with the boost, but yeah, apparently you can. In that other draft, we're going to go Dontavian Wicks. We have Christian Watson, so just going in on that offense. And then we're going to take Jerome Ford as our running back 3 as well. But after we go DJ Moore, Sam Laporta off the board at 34, probably saving us from ourselves just because I've drafted Sam Laporta so freaking often. I have so many Sam Laporta teams. Okay. Noah Scripps says, hey, Mason, are you reviewing lineups? I am not going to be like, so if you submit your team on flockfantasy.com before the season starts, every stream that I do until the season starts will be Underdog drafts, and I'm not going to be breaking down fantasy football teams. Once NFL kickoff's here and we're no longer able to draft on Underdog, sadly, trust me, I wish I could just do this 365 days a year, we will switch over and I'll start just reviewing all the teams on live streams. So right now, if you submitted your team to flockfantasy.com, it's going to be done for you with a personalized podcast. So essentially, I'm just going to go through, review the team. I'm going to make a podcast breaking down your entire league, suggesting moves, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to send you an MP3 file through our website so you can listen to it. But let's move this over. McBride goes 38. Interesting to see McBride here. So we should get a decent value falling to us. T. Higgins off the board at 40. The question is, if we go Jalen Hurts, is there any shot that I think there is? No. Oh, dear God. We're going to go Josh Allen instead of Jalen Hurts. So the reason being is I think we're possibly far enough down in the 4th round where we have a tiny % chance of getting Dalton Kincaid at 57. But even if we don't get Kincaid at 57, I think we can get Keon Coleman at 81. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, Josh Allen. I know Hurts is the safer pick, but this is also a smaller field contest. So I don't think stacking is as like, oh my gosh, you just have to do it, Okay. Let's move this over. Pittman goes 41. I was definitely looking at Pittman. Isaiah says he sent the hair on Instagram. If you have a chance to pull it up. All right, I'll pull this up, my guy. After we go Allen, Pittman, Etienne both go. This is just a normal buzz cut. Isaiah, you hyped this up way too much, my guy. This is a normal buzz. Hairline looking good. Trust me, I wish I had that hairline. Jamar Chase's hairline comes down to halfway down his forehead. Very jealous. Maybe I'm just being salty about that, but normal haircut. St. Brown's schooler. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Josh Jacobs goes off the board at 44. Jacobs definitely has been a big-time riser, which I feel great with because I've drafted a ton of Josh Jacobs teams. Kelsey off the board at 45. I have noticed Kelsey falling, which is really funny because like we just got Kelsey at 48. And I remember hearing a lot of people saying like, oh, once all the regular redraft players come, then Travis Kelce is going to rise a lot. Travis Kelce is going to be going in round 2, round 3. So make sure you draft Travis Kelce at the end of round 3 before they come in. And now Travis Kelce is going later than where he was earlier in the offseason. Okay. Bradley says Aaron Jones has the worst hairline by a mile. Yeah, but the thing is, I have a bad hairline, and I'm sitting here talking about fantasy football on YouTube. Aaron Jones has a cooked hairline, and he's sitting in a massive mansion playing NFL. And Aaron Jones is jacked in a mansion right now preparing for the NFL season. So I don't think I have any business talking about the Aaron Jones hairline. All right. Now, Jalen Hurts goes all the way down to pick 48 for the team to pair up Barkley and Smith. That team at 1 is probably really exciting. That team at 1 has CMC, Barkley at running back, Hurts at quarterback, Smith and Pickens at wide receiver. Dear God. Ross Cred says, but you've won $150,000 2 years ago, which, yeah, this is actually a little known fact about me. I don't think many people have heard this before. But I actually won $150,000 2 years ago, actually on Underdog Fantasy, which is where we're drafting right now. This is the best spot to get into an extra fantasy football draft this year because there's no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. And of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, I'd highly recommend you waiting until we do a $3 draft, $5 draft, $10 flock tournament drops tomorrow. Those are the ones you want to get in. But yeah, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. Code FLOCK will hook you up with a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 plus my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet, and code FLOCK will get you a Travis Kelce special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, and like we showed earlier, the no sweat pick'em, where if you lose, you get the money back. So highly recommend hopping on right now because Underdog is just making a massive push with all the promos before the season starts. Okay, in that other draft, we take Darnell Mooney. And then I think we're probably going to go with Kirk Cousins and Mooney on the turn. Okay. So James Cook goes, this is the literal dream. Like I said, there was maybe a 1% chance that we were going to get Dalton Kincaid on the way back around. We got super lucky for it to actually happen. I thought that the probability it was going to happen was maybe a little bit less than normal because a lot of times if you take Josh Allen there in the 4th, maybe Laporta and McBride are still on the board. So there are like 4 really strong tight ends in front of Dalton Kincaid to go between your 2 picks, but Laporta and McBride had already gone. So I thought there was a chance that one of these teams were going to want to go ahead and they were going to want to take Kincaid. But this is beautiful. Sugar says, I'm new to Underdog. How do I join the Flock tournament tomorrow? The Flock tournament's going to drop at 8 p.m. Eastern. So just hit NFL. You'll see all the tournaments there. Scroll to the end. You'll see Flock Community Contest. I think it'll be our 8th tournament on Underdog. So it'll be like Flock Community 8 or something like that. Click it, hit enter, and you're good, my guy. It's just going to be there. It's going to go live at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And there should be like 5,000 or so teams drafted, and then it's going to close. So usually it closes in at least a day. It doesn't take longer than a day. But we're going to take Calvin Ridley. I mean, we have the elite quarterback. We have the top-end running back. We have the top-end tight end. So obviously on Underdog, it's going to be a little difficult to find wide receivers later. So we just want to go ahead. We want to lock in a wide receiver right now with Ridley at 64. I think it's an absolute no-brainer pick. Let's freaking do it. Okay. MLB pitcher, if you're not able to go through and submit because it's asking you to confirm those picks, just literally check the box. If there are no picks in your leagues, just check the box and it will say that you're confirmed. So don't worry about that. That is maybe a little bit of a bug that I'll send to the developers right now. Because previously what I did all off season was I was reviewing dynasty teams on the site. So we were just making sure that the rookie picks that everybody had that we had preloaded on the site were correct. But obviously in your regular redraft league, you have no picks. So just hit box, says that they are correct. Sorry about that. I'll send it to the developers. We are about to have the craziest redesign on flockfantasy.com where I'm telling you right now, every single stream starting a week from now, we're going to be streaming through flockfantasy.com. Everything will be there. And I'm so damn excited. There's a bunch of improvements that are about to drop this week. Okay. Anthony says, with your cheat sheets, do you have a full tier list for every position combined? Is there one available that shows it by position? So if you go to flockfantasy.com, you hit, and of course, this is if you have a paid account. You can have this with any paid account. Doesn't matter what tier. But go to the site, hit rankings. And also, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog, you should have free access to flockfantasy.com before the season starts. So just go through the link that you got sent from Mason Dodd at flockfantasy.com. But just go to the rankings page, hit filter, add Mason Dodd, and then you'll have everything there for you. You'll have it broken down by tiers. You can look at every position. You can look at just running backs. You can look at just wide receivers. You can look at running backs, wide receivers compared next to each other. So yeah, just go to the rankings page. And yeah, all that's there. Okay. Pedro, no, I don't think it's a mistake going Gibbs if you already have going Laporta if you already have Gibbs. Because the thing is right now, if you look at the projections, this Detroit Lions offense is supposedly going to score the second most points in the NFL this season. Now, of course, is that true? I have no idea. We'll figure that out together, but there should be a ton of points scored. And I'm fine going, I don't want to say all in on the Lions, but I have been drafting the Lions relatively aggressively. Okay. James Conner goes pick 78. Let's move this around. Ooh. Hopkins goes 80. People are about to be upset with me. Actually, I'm not. Keon Coleman goes. I was going to take Keon Coleman. I was going to save y'all from this. But you did this. You asked for it. We are going bully quarterback. We're going to go with the quarterback at pick 40 and a quarterback at pick 81. We are going to take Kyler Murray here. I just think Kyler Murray scores a ridiculous amount of points. I'm more so okay having Kyler unstacked because Kyler has rushing upside in comparison to CJ Stroud. But I was planning on going Keon Coleman. Y'all did this to me. Okay. AJ says, I'm trying to sign up for Underdog Fantasy right now. Use the deal you were talking about. Do you have a promo code or anything? Use code FLOCK, my friend. Use code FLOCK and just make sure you go through the link in the description or live chat and you should get everything. Okay. So in that other draft, I'm going to go Braylon Allen as my running back 4. And I'm going to go Antonio Gibson as my RB5. And then we're going to call it a day at running back. And Jared says, why double quarterback? So if you look at these underdog drafts, you don't submit your starting lineup every week. The highest ranked quarterback is going to get submitted for you at the end of every week. So if, say, I was expecting Josh Allen to have a great week, but Kyler Murray drops 30 points, then Kyler actually goes in my starting lineup. So there, you want to draft multiple quarterbacks for that reason. Plus, there's no waiver wires. You're going to have to draft multiple quarterbacks regardless. Would I recommend you going quarterback at pick 40 and pick 81? Probably not. But when the board falls to us this way, I'm okay doing it. Okay. Let's move this over. Addison off the board. So we will take Ramondre Stevenson here as our second running back. Issue with Ramondre is this Pats offense. It projects out to be extremely bad, but it is what it is. It's kind of baked into his price for getting him at pick 88. Let's go. Let's go. This is an exciting draft. Is it a good draft? I don't know. Probably not. Is it an exciting draft? Hell to the yes. Let's go. Charlie says, Mason, I see you on X hating on Dalvin Cook. One bad year. I would be very surprised if Dalvin does anything. If you look at Dalvin 2 years ago, was his worst year of his NFL career from an efficiency perspective. So you already saw the glimpse of the Dalvin Cook fall off. And then afterwards, Dalvin goes and does legitimately nothing the following season. For us to come out and say like Dalvin Cook's going to have a big time role this year, or Dalvin Cook's going to be viable in fantasy, I honestly think it's a long shot. Now, of course, am I wrong? Very often. Would I maybe use it as a tiebreaker to not take Rico Dowdle, not take Ezekiel Elliott? Where I would have previously? Probably. But don't think like Dalvin signs with Dallas and then all of a sudden like Dalvin Cook is some phenomenal option in fantasy. This is something I need to ask y'all though. So Flock League, I'm sure a lot of y'all saw this video that came out today, but I need running backs. I went 0 RB. I got grabbed an elite tight end. I hammered in wide receiver, full PPR format where I can start 4 wide receivers every week. I need running back. I'm just trying to roster as many guys down there that could potentially do something. The last round I took Tank Bigsby. Who do you think is a better running back for a roster spot at this point between Dalvin Cook and Tank Bigsby? Please let me know. Would you go Dalvin or Bigsby? Let's see what. Come on. Nobody in the chat has anything for me? Okay. Tank. Dalvin. Tank. Dalvin. Tank, Dalvin. So it does look like most people are saying Tank. Which is where I stood. I mean, I definitely thought about dropping Tank Bigsby for Dalvin Cook, but I ultimately decided against it. As if ETN goes down, I think Tank Bigsby can turn into an every week starter. I don't know if Dalvin Cook has the upside at this point of his career to turn into an every week starter in Dallas. And Teresa, I see you in the chat. I just want to say one more time, please respond to the email I sent you. I'm trying to get you a bunch of merch sent out for free. I just need to know the size hoodie and the size shirt you want. I believe I already have your address. I think you already sent it to me. I think I need the sizes though. Okay. Now Chase Brown off the board 102. So right now we went with bully quarterback. We have Allen. We have Kyler. Running back, we have Taylor Stevenson. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley. And tight end, we have Dalton Kincaid. So what's the news with Bowers here? Why is Bowers sliding? Remains absent Wednesday. Let's read this real quick. Bowers' foot not participating in Wednesday's practice. Bowers hasn't practiced since missing the Raiders' August 18th preseason matchup against the Cowboys due to what was labeled foot soreness. Not the most exciting thing in the world. I know everybody with half a brain is going to be screaming at us to go with Shakir. If it was Best Ball Mania, possibly we would. But I don't have half a brain. Instead, I have 1/10 of a brain. So I'm going to go bully quarterback and bully tight end. We're going to go with a team that we draft 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and then 6 running backs, 8 wide receivers, or 5 wide receivers, 9 wide receivers. 5 running backs, 9 wide receivers. So we're going to take Bowers 105. Like I said, I think probably the correct pick, or at least what people will tell you is the correct pick, is to instead go ahead and just take Shakir to pair up with Allen, but we already have Kincaid paired up with Allen, and I think Bowers can straight up outscore Shakir this year, and you get that production at tight end. Okay. Brock Purdy off the board 108. Looking at that Best Ball Mania draft, trying to figure out what we want to do. We'll go Ben Sinnott as our second tight ends. And okay, Spears off the board 110. Great for us to see Purdy go. At this point, we want as many quarterbacks and tight ends drafted as possible. I think we're going to go ahead and take Jerome Ford. Ford, big-time riser with the Deonta Foreman news, with the Nick Chubb news. It looks like Ford is just slated to be a 3-down running back at the very beginning of this season. We need the points to advance. This isn't like a massive tournament at the end of the year that you're just chasing upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. Okay. So let's move this. Dallas Goedert off 113. Shaheed goes 114. Come on. Let's see these quarterbacks. Let's see these tight ends get drafted. Let's go. Let's go. And Augustus gives us a boom for the Jerome Ford pick. Appreciate it. Much love, my guy. Much love. Okay. Scott says, got to at least have 4 receivers through the first 6 rounds, in my opinion. I would agree with you in a Best Ball Mania draft. I think that's ideal, specifically in the high-stakes tournaments on Underdog where it's a smaller field contest. I think you have a lot more wiggle room, and I don't think it matters as much. Quentin, no, I would not recommend handcuffing Jahmyr Gibbs with David Montgomery. I think you maybe raise your floor, but I think you lower your ceiling if you decide to do that. TT Warrior says, when are you doing your 24-hour live stream? never. I did the 24-hour live stream 2 years ago. I think I was maybe the first person to ever do it. And I lost my voice from it. If I was not going to live stream every single day, like last year I streamed for 200 days in a row. If I was not going to put out videos every single day, which I've done for years, I don't think it would be a big deal to do a 24-hour live stream. But specifically for how much stuff I put out, the 24-hour stream is just, it's too tough. It is. But we are only running back and wide receiver through the rest of this draft. Okay. Josh says, if Big AJ from the Costco guys joined the NFL, which round would you draft him? If I could take the Rizzler, here's what we need to do. We need to get Underdog to sponsor the Costco guys. We need to get them to set up a pick'em for the Rizzler. Higher, lower, not 2.5. 1.5 double chunk chocolate chip cookies eaten. We can get Big Justice in here. 1.5 chicken bakes, higher, lower. How many does he eat? That's what we need. Okay. Lawrence off 127. Isaiah says Rizzler's taking Mace down easy. If I had to face Rizzler in the A gap, I'm losing that battle 9 times out of 10. Lockett goes. We'll go ahead. We'll take Jalen Polk here. We have Ramondre Stevenson, so maybe we make the consolidated bet saying, oh, maybe this Pats off isn't as bad as people are expecting it to be. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But wide receiver, we have Brown, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Polk. We're going to slam wide receivers coming very soon. We're really relying on A.J. Brown, DJ Moore to carry us here. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerome Ford. We go bully quarterback with Allen Kyler. We go 2 top tight ends with Kincaid and Bowers as well. I like this team. Let's go. Josh says, so is the next video in the Flock League going to be a podcast? Is it planned? Yeah, so the Flock League, what we're probably going to do is every Monday nights, we're going to meet and we're going to record a recap of the league. What happened, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but every Monday night on the Flock League channel, we're going to have like a little recap. And I'm telling you right now, I'm already, like, there's already a ton of smack talk going down in the Flock League. Like, I already have my rivals in that league nailed down. Okay, so what we can do here is if we wanted to, we could go ahead and take Nick Chubb and just monopolize the Cleveland Browns backfield for early in the year and later in the season. Obviously, Chubb maybe isn't like the most exciting option. But the thing is, yes, he's going to miss 4 weeks at the very minimum. It's Nick Chubb or Ty Chandler. That's the price point we are talking about. We spent a 10th round pick and a 12th round pick to lock up every single touch in this Cleveland Browns backfield. So we'll go ahead and we'll do it. But Mill2K11 coming out with a massive dono. Thank you, my friend. Much love. Much love. And I do not think you made a mistake taking Taylor Gibbs at the 10-11 turn in a 10-team league. Like I said, we did the ESPN draft with Jack on the live stream last night, and they're just seeing like the crazy wide receiver values that were available later on. In your regular redraft league, if you wanted to go with like Taylor and Gibbs, I think you 100% could. Okay. So let's move this over. After we go Chubb, we're really hoping that we have some wide receivers making it to us. That's going to be the main issue that we have. Ray says, Mason, as a fellow 0 RB drafter, what's your strategy in season? Sell high and trade up and hope for upside rookies, etc. Work the waiver wire like a madman. I think 0 RB, and we made a video about this too, is titled The Draft Strategy, quote unquote, Smart People Use. And what I said is like 0 RB will not work in a league where you're going to start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. They're like, good luck trying it. It just is not suited for that format. Where you can make 0 RB work is if it's a league where you are going to start you can at least start 4 receivers. Like if you have 2 wide receivers and 2 flexes, or if you have 3 wide receivers and a flex, and it's a full PPR format. But definitely want to make sure in that instance as well, you're rostering as many RBs as possible down there on the bench. Now, Leggett goes, which is a little painful for us, of course. What we'd be hoping for is we'd be hoping for some quarterbacks to go very soon. This team took Lamar, Jaden Daniels, and Tua, so they're doing their part helping us out, taking some of these QBs. This team here has 6 running backs and 5 receivers. They have Achane, Connor, Brooks, Chase Brown. They go with Stafford here. Okay, perfect. This is actually going pretty well for us at this point. Come on. Come on. Let's see some quarterbacks go. Sticky Ricky off the board at 150. I already have so many dollars invested into him that I would not feel comfortable taking him anymore. Like, let me look from a dollar spent perspective, which typically is going after this. Typically, it's like, do you want Sticky Ricky or Rashad Bateman? Let me pull up. Ricky Pearsall, from a dollar spent perspective, is now officially my most invested into not only wide receiver, but player. And my explanation for that, when he has an ADP where he's going back-to-back with the Rashad Bateman. We're going to go ahead. We will take Josh Downs here at 153. We just need some wide receiver help. Hopefully he gets back healthy sometime soon. But I've just been saying it with Ricky Pearsall. Here he's definitely a lot more expensive than the majority of other underdog drafts. He is a round 1 NFL draft pick attached to what projects out to be the highest scoring offense in the NFL. That is a player I'm willing to take over somebody like Rashad Bateman, for instance. Okay. Now, so like I said, if Ayuk gets dealt and Sticky Ricky's shoulder injury ends up working itself out, I'll either be streaming from a yacht next year or y'all will never see me ever again. One of the two. We'll have to feel it out. We'll play it by ear. Okay. I'll probably see me, but I probably won't be doing fantasy football drafts. I'll just be live streaming my life on a yacht and going, oh, y'all remember when I said I was bad at fantasy football? I'll spend the year just making YouTube shorts, reading hate comments, going, oh, where are you right now? I'm in the Mediterranean. I'm on the Pearsall. That's what I'm going to name my yacht. And I'll make sure y'all don't forget. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Okay. Now, let's see. We're going to go ahead. We will take Demario Douglas. This is a team, I guess we're all in on Drake. We're not going to take May because we already have Allen and Kyler. But we're all in on Drake May making this New England Patriots offense not buns. Like, Drake May, for the love of God, be good. We take Ramondre Stevenson at pick 88. We take Jalen Polk at 129. We take Demario Douglas at 160. Please. Please. Okay. Musgrave, Baker, Komet, Darnold. Perfect. Get these quarterbacks, get these tight ends off this board. Come on. Okay. So what the team that's up right now has already drafted 3 quarterbacks. So we're going to assume that they don't take a QB. And we just hit 226,000 subscribers on the channel. So shout out, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me every single night. Much love, much love. 226,000 is it's a decent number. Just wait until we're at 226 million. With all the Mr. Beast stuff going on, I figured that somebody has to take his spot. Why not us, ladies and gentlemen? Why not us? Okay. Paul says, FYI, Pat's offensive line will be the worst in the league by a wide margin. Yeah. The reason why the Patriots are so cheap, and deservedly so, like we already discussed, sportsbooks are projecting out the Pats to be the worst offense in the NFL this year in total points scored. So, it is a tough spot to be in on New England. This is where we found ourselves with this team, though. To no fault of our own. Just kidding. Definitely to our own fault. No. R Squared says, I'm doing best ball drafts with people ages 1 through 100. 100%. I would be, all jokes aside, I know that people watching this are probably older, so they think like Mr. Beast is just straight up kids cringy stuff, which a lot of it is. But Mr. Beast drops a new video, your boy has to watch it. I'm one of the first people there. Like he drops a video, I'm watching it that day. And I'm watching the entire thing too. Okay. Greg Dortch goes. Are you freaking kidding me here, this team? Greg Dortch was our pick to pair up with Kyler Murray. RIP. It is what it is. It is what it is. Antonio Gibson goes 176. We will take Marshawn Lloyd here as our 5th running back. I think Marshawn Lloyd's a lot more appealing now that he's dropped in price than A.J. Dillon's on the PvP. Like, in a vacuum, I prefer Marshawn Lloyd over Greg Dortch. In a vacuum, I probably prefer Marshawn Lloyd over Antonio Gibson as well. And over Malik Washington. I prefer Marshawn Lloyd over like most of these players that go in round 15. Now that we have the A.J. Dillon PvP news and Marshawn Lloyd dodges it himself. So let's go. Teresa says, imagine being upset for missing Greg Dortch. I know, it is. It's a little tough, but that's what we get. That's what we get for drafting Kyler where we did. Now, Gino off 178. Tyrone Tracy goes 179. Levis, perfect. Get these quarterbacks off. I don't want to see them anymore. I'm tired of these QBs. I am tired of them. Jordan Whittington goes 181. Taking big Q from me. Really? You're really going to do that? You're going to take big Q from his #1 fan. He's trying to ruin my day. All right. All right. Now, if this is Best Ball Mania, we're for sure going 5 running backs, 9 wide receivers. With this being a smaller field contest, I think we can get away with the 6th running back. I think Tank Bigsby is by far and away the best player on the board right now. So we're going to take Bigsby. If you're in a smaller buy-in on Underdog, there are going to be more people in the tournament. You need more wide receiver upside than this. So for sure, if you're in a smaller tournament, I would recommend you instead go ahead and just take only 5 running backs when you took the guys that we did. But specifically here, it's a smaller field, higher stakes tournament on Underdog. So I think we're okay in deciding to grab an extra RB if we think that they are the best on the board. But let's go for it. Trevor says no love for Burton. I actually am mixing in Burton here, but I think that there's a chance Burton makes it to us at 201, where I don't think there's a chance that Tank Bigsby does. And of course, real quick, if we hit 600 likes on this live stream, we will get a 3rd draft going. So if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. Colby Parkinson off the board, 188. Yeah, and we're for sure like, let's recap this team real quick. Very interesting team. Don't hate it. Don't love it. I'm going to be interested to track this team through the course of the season. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Polk, Josh Downs, Demario Douglas, and we're going to have to take 2 wide receivers here at the very end. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb, Marshawn Lloyd, Tank Bigsby. Quarterback, we have Josh Allen paired up with Kincaid. We have Kyler unstacked. Tight end, we have Dalton Kincaid and Brock Bowers. So, I like looking at position by position. If we can just hit on a few of these late round wide receivers, I think we crush at running back. I think we crush at quarterback. I think we crush at tight ends. And I mean, it's not like we have no receivers. We have A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley holding the fort down here. We just need to hit on a couple of these late round guys. Okay. RGV says, hey, Mason, on flockfantasy.com, after the yearly subscription, is the team review still something of the payment method? So if you had an annual Mother Flocker subscription on flockfantasy.com, you made the payment already, you're not still on the trial, and use code FLOCK. When you go through and you select your team and you go to submit it for a review, when you look at the creators that you want, you should see that every creator costs like X amount of dollars. However, I should be free. It will say Mason $0, and you can just go ahead and click it because you have a voucher if you use code FLOCK and you made the purchase of the annual Mother Flocker subscription. But wide receiver, so looking at these Washington guys at the very top, Noah Brown does sign in Washington, which is going to scare a few people off here. My favorite wide receiver in this range is probably Roman Wilson. We're just going to take Roman Wilson. I've drafted him a lot in round 17, round 18. I think once he is healthy, he should be the wide receiver 2 for this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I think from a talent perspective, he's a lot more talented than these guys like Jalen Naylor, Tyler Boyd at this part of his career, Diami Brown. I liked him more as a prospect than Luke McCaffrey. So, yeah, we're going to go Roman. We just really need him to be healthy and make his way back from the ankle. And please let me know in the live chat, are we at 600 likes? Are we getting another draft going? Okay. Bo Nix goes 204. Josh Reynolds. These Denver receivers are definitely more interesting now that you have Tim Patrick getting cut. As now in Denver, you have Sutton, Mims, Reynolds, Franklin. That's about it. Okay, Slayton off 206. Trey Sermon goes. So the Washington guys do make it back. It's not like we're overloaded with a bunch of rookies on the squad. I think we can, in this draft off, rookie wide receiver. I think even Franklin may be back in play, considering Tim Patrick getting cut. Let's just take Luke McCaffrey. I know Noah Brown is in here, but still. But it looks like we had 600. Kadarius Toney, happy to see you. Sorry that you got cut. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to get in another draft on Underdog. Looking at the tournaments, I'm about to max out the sprint. I've done a ton of sprint drafts. I actually really do like this structure. We're going to go ahead. We're going to hop in this. This is a tournament on Underdog that is a $50 buy-in, $1 million prize pool. First place, 100,000. Second place, 50,000. Third place, 40,000. Fourth place, 30,000. So very flat payout structure, which I do like. And what's special about this tournament is, and we get pick 9 again. Are you freaking kidding me? But so what's interesting about this tournament, the sprint, is you're going to be drafting against these 11 other people, right? We go up against them. The 2 highest scoring teams in the regular season will advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament. So the regular season is weeks 1 through 14. The playoff tournament is weeks 15, 16, 17. And then it's cumulative scoring weeks 15, 16, 17. So at that point, it is I don't know, just who can have the highest ceiling in those final 3 weeks. So somebody that like I've been going through and taking a lot in this tournament is I've been taking a lot of Nick Chubb because I do think that Nick Chubb could be a top 5 running back in those final 3 weeks. Okay. Kadarius says, don't worry, Mason. I got teams crawling to my doorstep trying to sign the 2-time Super Bowl champ. Don't blame them. Don't blame them. Christian says that overlay looking nice in this contest. So yeah, if you look at the possibility that this doesn't fill, obviously it kind of becomes more likely every single day. But say like there are only $700,000 teams, $700,000 worth of teams drafted in this tournament, and Underdog guarantees the $1 million prize pool, which it is a guaranteed $1 million prize pool. Underdog would have to go through and throw $300,000 of their own money in the league pot, and you would just have way better odds to actually win a serious amount of cash because you're going up against less people for the same amount of money. So the hope obviously is it doesn't fill. I think it does fill, to be honest with you, though. Breece Hall goes at pick 4. Oh, my Breece Hall bags from earlier in the offseason are looking real nice right about now. Okay, Jamar Chase off the board at 5. St. Brown goes at 6. Okay. Treasure says, best case scenario, Chubb plays week 8 on and averages like 60 yards a game. I do not think that's best case scenario at all for the most efficient running back in NFL history based off some metrics. So if that is the hypothetical, if you think that's the top 1 percentile outcome, then obviously you should not draft him. But at the same time, you're just pulling that top 1 percentile outcome out of your butt. Okay, so clearly it's obvious who I want to get here at pick 9. I would absolutely love Bijan Robinson falling to me. This team, hopefully they're not on auto. Oh my gosh. That was interesting, to say the least. This team goes Trey McBride. There is a small chance if this team just completely tanks the rest of this draft, like say their next pick is Kyler Murray, their pick after that is Ramondre Stevenson. What's sadly going to happen is Underdog will have to cancel this draft for the tournament and refund everybody that entered in it. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's how Underdog has to keep contest integrity. Just because there's one weird pick at the early rounds doesn't mean that the draft automatically gets canceled. But if this team like goes Travis Kelce here at 17 and Sam Laporte at 32, it's for sure getting canceled and refunded. Which in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to just go through and hop in a different draft right now. But we'll see what that team does at 17. I think it's a little too early to assume that this is getting tossed. Okay. And obviously, we are about to have a very unique combo with Bijan Robinson at pick 9. Figuring out what we are going to get here at 16 will be interesting. Barkley goes, so we're trying it. We're going to go with Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. Very rarely would I recommend going running back on Underdog, except if you were able to get an extremely high upside pairing like this, that also is going to be very low owned through the course of the entire season. So I think we go ahead. I think we take him. I'm not stressing too much about it either. And that team takes Kyle Pitts. So this draft, sadly, is most likely getting tossed here. So I don't even want to continue to. I'm probably going to keep doing this on the other screen just in case it doesn't get tossed. But most likely it's going to get tossed so Underdog can keep the contest security. So let me leave this. We'll get another draft going. I think this is the first time out of like 1,000 Underdog drafts that we have streamed that we've had to deal with this. Which, to be honest with you, I would have guessed that it would happen way more often than it actually does. Doesn't really happen. At least not to me anyway, but it is what it is. That draft's going to get tossed. Let's go ahead. Let's get into another sprint draft. Like I said, we're about to max this tournament out, and we are in waiting for 5 people for somebody who wants to do this with us. Okay. We are in a pick 2, and just confirming something real quick. That other team that ruined the other draft is not in with us. That other team was Red Lake. In this one, it's not in. And yeah, so what will happen more likely than not, obviously, I'm not at Underdog. I don't work for their security team. But they have people that are dedicated to just this. That draft's going to get tossed. It's going to get refunded, so it's not in with the overall tournament. And like I said, this is what I'm assuming is going to happen. This is what typically does. And then that guy will get banned. I don't know if he'll get like automatically banned. They may like investigate, see if he just like, set up a queue and then accidentally left. See if he's done this a bunch of times and he's intentionally ruining drafts. And in that case, he just gets banned. But obviously, I don't have the information here. I'm just kind of guessing. So I could easily be wrong. Okay. Now McCaffrey goes. I am going to make a little bit of a weird pick here. I'm going to go Tyreek over Lamb. I think if you look at Tyreek just not missing any time, I am okay just assuming that he has an extremely high floor, and we saw the ceiling last year where he was on pace to have 2,000 receiving yards in a single season. So I was Lamb for the majority of the offseason. Like I said, I was never worried about him not getting paid. He was always going to get paid. But I'm just trying to maybe give the tiebreaker away from the guys that missed pretty much all of training camp and all of the preseason, like all that time to prepare. such as CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase. So I'm going St. Brown over Chase. I'm going with Tyreek over Lamb. Right or wrong, I don't necessarily know, but it's what I'm going to be doing at this point. Okay. And, of course, if y'all wanted to get in a draft with us on Underdog, the Flock tournament drops tomorrow night. If you're new to Underdog, that's definitely what I'd recommend you join us with. And, yeah, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. It's the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft this year. Not going to replace the main league you care most about. There's no time commitment at all during the year. It's our Draft Hunters team, side 150,000. And if you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet. Plus, you will get hooked up with a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1, and a Travis Kelce special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1. And like we showed earlier, Underdog's actually offering a no sweat token for everybody. Doesn't matter how long you've been on there, where you're able to use that token, and if that player ruins your pick'em, then you end up getting your money back. Underdog is about to be, they sent me an email with like all the list of stuff they're going to be running this week. They are pushing promos harder than they ever have this week. So I would for sure take advantage of them, especially like if you're already on Underdog, right? Literally, it's as simple as just opening up the pick'em thing, looking at whatever the promo is that day, and just taking advantage of it. Okay, Barkley off the board at pick 15. That team at 12 decides to go Gibbs and Taylor, going running back. Will be interesting to track that team through the rest of this. Okay. Shorty says Tajay Spears league winner. I think I'm a little bit concerned that we saw him out there with the essential backups at one point this last preseason game. I'm not going to be panicking by any means, but I think that definitely just confirms for me that we're still going to prefer to go ahead and take Pollard over Spears. But I have Spears in the Flock League, so I'm really hoping that Spears comes out and crushes it. Like, I would love for Spears to be a league winner because I need a running back in that league as well. Okay. Yes. Sundog says, glad the massive cups are back. In case anybody was wondering what's in this, dropped a little like electrolyte thing. So I used to have an issue where as I live stream, obviously I have to talk nonstop. So I have to just continuously chug water for my throat not to dry out and sound gross. But the issue with that is I stream until like midnight most nights. So I'm having to go pee all night. And I ruin my sleep. But I found out literally just throw some electrolytes in the water, get some salt in it before I go to bed. That way I'm good to go and don't have to worry about waking up all night. Okay. Evans off the board at 21. So I'm going to go Tyreek with pick 2. We have a lot of flexibility with what we want to do with this 23rd pick, right? I'm not the biggest cup guy. I think we're actually going to go ahead and take Olave. I know people are going to hate us for taking Olave over Cup, but it is what it is. Y'all can hate. I mean, Olave is in a very bad offense, but he's just going to absolutely dominate the target share in his offense. And I don't think it's like as bad as the Giants offense. I don't think it's as bad as the Patriots offense. I don't think it's as bad as the Broncos offense. It's maybe a low ceiling offense, but still, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And people are panicking with Ayuk. I think we'll maybe get Ayuk cheaper elsewhere. Let's go ahead. Let's take Devonta Smith at pick 26. Let's go Tyreek, Olave, Smith. I would love to get Jalen Hurts to us at 47. Is that likely? Probably not, but it is what it is. Daniel says that ESPN draft video was the greatest. Literally watch it from beginning to end. Much love, my guy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was like definitely different than usual. Jake says, was the big cup earlier a Ninja creamy pint? 100%. Ninja. So here's my experience with the Ninja Creamy. Let me know in the live chat if y'all have had a Ninja Creamy. If you don't know what it is, it's essentially something that you can make protein ice cream. I got it and initially thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And I had it like every day for the first week. And for whatever reason, I made one that just didn't taste good. And now I haven't had one in like 6 months because whenever I think about it, like my stomach hurts and it sounds gross. So I was all in Ninja Creamy. I need to give it another shot, but now I'm kind of out on the Ninja Creamy. Okay. Pacheco 31, Henry 32. Very boring draft so far. Like we haven't seen any crazy values. The team at 1 that has CMC does go Kyron Williams even with the punt news. So maybe the team at 1's going to be a team to monitor, but Kevy Kev says, I try to make protein donut holes and it was a complete failure. Yeah, that was... Here's literally what I've been doing lately. And I used to be too cheap where I would only do protein powder and I wouldn't buy the protein drinks. If, say, hypothetically, one day you win $150,000 in fantasy football and you can splurge for the extra 50 cents per serving with just getting the actual carton, skip the protein powder, just get you some, whatever brand you want, little protein drinks because it's so much easier where they don't make a mess. So I've done the powder for like 10 years and it just makes the mess. It's obviously cheaper, but it takes time. Here you can literally just grab it out of the fridge, drink it, no mess, throw it away. Okay. And I don't mess with beef organ supplements at all. I'm sorry. Now, let's smooth this over. Michael Pittman Jr. off 39. So that team at 12 decides to go with 0 wide receivers through the first 4 rounds. We've showed the historical data. Doing that on Underdog does put you in a spot where at least you have never won money over the past 3 years with that strategy. We'll see if they're able to turn it around this year. Obviously, this is a new year. Just because something worked last year doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work this year. It is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Diggs off 43. I would have loved to get Stephon Diggs here at the late 4th. Lamar goes. That sucks. A lot of times in these drafts, I'm looking for the Lamar Andrews pairing. That's no longer an option for us. Looking at that team at 1, I was going to go Higgins here, damn. Let's go with Amari. Reason being that team at 1, I think that they're in a spot with only having Cooper Kupp through the first 3 rounds. They may end up having to go wide receiver. They go Mahomes. They go Mahomes and Pickens. So I think we will take Kincaid. Clorin's definitely more interesting post Dotson trade. Thing is, do you think he can score more touchdowns this year? Last year, 4 touchdowns. The year prior, 5 touchdowns. What will he have on the way back around? Let's go Kincaid with the slight possibility that Ayuk still gets sent to Washington. And also, I'm already really invested into Terry with us taking him in the flock league. So let's go Kincaid at 50. And if I had Lamar, I'm for sure going to go Andrews. Kirk goes 51. So if we would have taken Terry, both the team at 3 and us would have gone 5 straight wide receivers to start the draft, which would have been really interesting through the rest of it. Okay. That team at 4. Marker, I didn't notice Markwood was in this draft with us. He decides to get the Lamar Andrews stack. Definitely very jealous of that. Like literally best case scenario in all these drafts. Terry makes it down to 53. So this is very much like the teams at the very beginning of the draft went in 0 RB or anchor RB. Like our team at 2, 0 running backs for the first 5 rounds. Team at 3, 0 running backs. Team at 4, 0 running backs. Team at 5, only 1 running back. Team at 6, we'll see what they decide to do. Only 1 running back. Whereas you look at the teams in the second half of the draft, they're loaded up. Like you look at the first 6 teams, we have 4 running backs through the first 5 rounds through all 6 of those teams. All right, so let's see what the teams in the back half end up with. Because right now they're already situated with, what, 10? And they still have a couple more picks to go. Let's move this down. The other draft, we have a monstrous team. I wish if that doesn't get tossed, ooh, GG the rest of this tournament. Okay. Mason says, do you like the Lamar Andrews, Allen Kincaid, or Mahomes Kelsey stack the best? Probably Allen Kincaid. Allen's my favorite player out of that entire group. At cost, Lamar Andrews, though. And Lamar Andrews is very easy to get. They have an ADP at the 4-5 turn. Josh Allen, Kincaid, you have to get very lucky like we did 2 drafts ago. Mahomes, Kelsey, you have to take at the 3-4 turn instead of the 4-5 turn. So it's just much tougher. But Brandon, welcome to being a member of the flock. Happy to have you, my friend. Okay, Pitts goes 64. What's the Keenan Allen news? Dealing with foot discomfort. Allen missed practice Wednesday due to foot discomfort, but Bears GM Ryan Poles said the wide receiver should be fine for week 1 against the Titans. Poles suggested the problem had something to do with Allen's cleats. Whatever the case, it doesn't sound like the Bears are too concerned, but fantasy managers will still want to keep an eye out to make sure Allen returns to practice in the coming days. The 32-year-old wide receiver is part of a hyper-talented wide receiver room that also includes DJ Moore in 9th overall pick, Rome Odunze. Come on. That impressed y'all. Don't you lie to me. I read all of that with only one mistake. I don't want to flex too hard, but yeah, that just happened. Okay. Let's see. Keenan Allen goes 68. Would have been interesting to see Keenan fall. Marker word 0 running backs. The team in front of us as well, Smarinda, 0 running backs. Marker word goes Montgomery. Evan Ingram goes. So we're going to get Alvin Kamara as our RB1 at pick 71. We're going to pair him up with Olave. We're going to say what happens if all of a sudden Derek Carr can figure it out, which is probably unlikely, but still. Y'all saw us take an unstacked Kyler Murray in the last draft, but where we did that, we got Kyler Murray at the end of round 7. I'm fine taking Kyler Murray at the 6-7 turn here if I was the team that took Trey McBride. But I probably don't want to be taking an unstacked Kyler ahead of ADP. But we'll see. Lacey says, Mason, what do you think about taking Allen in the early 3rd and going for Kincaid in the early 5th? If it's a redraft league where you're going to start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex spot, I think you're more than you can easily do that. Now, obviously, if it's a league where wide receivers harder to come by and we can't just bank on getting some great values later, then maybe it's a little bit tougher. Okay. Hopkins goes 75, so the team after us is still leaning in to the 0 running back builds. Let's see this. Najee off the board at 77. Troy, welcome to being a member of the flock. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. Tresner says, Brendan Rice is the next Puka. Ladd is the next Steve Largent. If Brendan Rice is the next Puka, your boy's going to lose a lot of money this year. I have drafted very little Brendan Rice. I drafted very little Puka last year. So, just because I haven't drafted Brendan Rice doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Let me pull up exactly how much Rice I've drafted. I'll let you know exactly how much of all the Chargers receivers I've taken. I've taken Quentin Johnston now in 14% of my leagues. That is up from 13. I've taken Ladd McConkey in 8%, DJ Chark in 11%, Joshua Palmer in 5%, and Brandon Rice in about 1%. A little less than 1%. Running back, I have Gus Edwards in 9%, Dobbins in 7%, and Herbert I have at 7%. So what I'm really hoping for is I'm hoping that Palmer maybe disappoints a little bit. Brandon Rice does nothing. And some of these secondary gross options in Los Angeles are okay. Now, is that likely? TBD. Probably not, but we'll hope. We'll hope. Okay. I am Santa says need more Palmer. I don't know. On Underdog, I'm not a big fan of Joshua Palmer at his price. I feel like we haven't taken Addison in a while. We've definitely cooled off Addison just a bit. Like, the thing is, with Addison, once McCarthy's ruled out for the year, all of a sudden I lowered Addison in my rankings, and it seems like Addison actually got steamed up just a little bit everywhere else. So naturally, I just stopped drafting Addison as much as I was previously. Okay. Now, Love off the board at 90. If Addison does make it, there's a chance Addison makes it to us as well, because the teams in front of us here are solid at receiver. Like, Eagles only has, they go Curtis Samuel at 91. Very interesting to see them go Samuel there. Daniels 92. I believe, yeah, that's the team that took Terry McLaurin. Marker word on the clock. Who is drafting A.J. Dillon? Kai says 19% A.J. Dillon. It's rough. Oh, that is real rough, my friend. Dak off. I think we will go Addison here with the expectation that we're going to get a running back that we like making it back to us. And I think if we go Addison, we can kind of stop drafting wide receivers. I think we're good at 6. Zamir goes 97. We'll go ahead. We'll get Jalen Warren in round 9. If you look at the grand scheme of this tournament, very few teams are able to get Jalen Warren at this price tag. And at the same time, Jalen Warren has been ruled good to go for week 1. So he used to go at the 7-8 turn. The injury dropped him down now to going at the 8-9 turn. Sounds like the injury is not that serious, so I'm fine buying the dip. Well, let me pull this up. I will let you know how many Packers running backs we have. I have 10% Josh Jacobs. Thought that was a little more. I have 7% Marshawn Lloyd. And what's tough is it says I have 0% A.J. Dillon. But I actually did draft him in a league because I have $500 worth of entry fees in A.J. Dillon. So I barely took A.J. Dillon anywhere. I took him in one league, but it was a $500 draft. Which is just brutal. Okay. Chase Brown 103, Shaheed 104. Okay, let's move this over. Yeah, God, I really thought like I completely dodged the AJ Dillon stuff because I didn't draft Dillon at all. I didn't really draft Marshawn Lloyd at all until I've been drafting him a lot over the past week or two with the dip. But I thought that I was in a good spot here. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Sebastian says, does Vidal have any hype? I'm not a big Vidal guy, but that's just me. Like, if you really wanted to go through and if you really wanted to... I think Vidal's like a great player in your regular redraft league for you to roster. Because you could roster him, see what the Chargers running back room looks like week 1. And if you were to get, say, Vidal usage, where he maybe splits with J.K. Dobbins, he splits with Gus Edwards, one of those guys, then it's like, oh, perfect. I know this guy's worth a roster spot. Whereas if he doesn't really even see the field, you can just let him go to the waiver wire. Underdog drafts is just tough because you're stuck with them all year. Okay, Myers off the board 112. The good fellow says, Vidal only in best ball, though, not in redraft leagues. Like, I'm the exact opposite. I would rather have, because I think Vidal is somebody that may not even, I think he may not have any role whatsoever this year. So I would rather have him in a spot where I can cut him after the first few weeks and pick up somebody else. Goddard off the board 116. Gus Edwards goes 117. Purdy doesn't make sense for any of the options that we have. Once we took those 6 receivers, like I discussed previously, we pretty much are in line to just go ahead and to really hammer in running backs and stop taking wide receivers through the rest of this draft. We're going to take Devin Singletary here. We talked about the possible concern of the Tajay Spears preseason usage earlier. And I think here, looking at these other options, I'm just going to give the slight tiebreaker over to Blake Corum. If you're looking at the news from the running backs that we've had as of late here, in the case of Nick Chubb, guaranteed to miss the first 4 weeks. In the case of Rico Dowdle, you possibly have a running back there in Dalvin Cook that's going to take a few touches. We don't know yet. I think Dalvin may get 0. He may see some work. And in the case of Blake Corum, they tell us Kyron Williams is going to return punts because Blake Corum can spell him. So with all that in mind, I think I'm fine to just go ahead and to mix in Corum here. Okay. And now at wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, Amari Cooper, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison. Running back, we have Alvin Kamara, Jalen Warren, Devin Singletary, Blake Corum. And tight end, we have Dalton Kincaid. Okay. Okay. Polk goes 125. Let's move this over. And this is something that's actually funny. So I see Caps talking about Daniel Jones. Y'all know I am very much like anti-drafting Malik Neighbors in round 2 based off how bad the offense is. But given the fact that Daniel Jones has rushing upside, he has been like my most popular third quarterback to draft. So pulling up my Giants exposures, I have 7%. I thought I would have more than this. I have 12% Wan'Dale Robinson. I have 9% Singletary. I have 7% Daniel Jones. But I'm only sitting there with 4% Malik Neighbors. Okay. Glimpse says, I got Neighbors round 6 or 7 some. 100% if you were able to get Malik Neighbors in round 6 or 7 in your regular redraft league, I think he's a great price there. Just in round 2 for how bad this offense should be, that's a spot that I'm not nearly as excited about. Okay, so Gabe Davis goes 129. Adonai Mitchell goes 130. Pat, welcome to being a member of the flock. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Judy goes 131. Goff 133. We still need a quarterback here with our team. I mean, we have some options. We can go Darnold with Addison. We can go Young with Deontay. We can go Deshaun with Amari. We can go with Carr for Olave. I mean, our Tua Tyreek stack, the team all the way there at pick 10 took Tua at like 110, so we just had no option to get him. Okay. Let's move this over. Mike Williams, Tyler Algier, both off. And Teresa laughing at Carr. I know. Teresa's a Saints fan. The thing with Carr for this team, though, is like, if this team wants to have any shot to turn like $50 into 100,000, we probably need the Saints to be good. We have Kamara. We have Olave. So Derek Carr is like a QB3 isn't the worst thing in the world. And we just send up a prayer that somehow Carr isn't the worst option ever. What's really funny, too, is we did that draft on ESPN with Jack yesterday. And just looking at like how regular leagues draft, not like fantasy expert leagues or not underdog drafts where people are kind of like sickos. In your regular like ESPN draft, Ezekiel Elliott went like 5-6 rounds before Rico Dowdle. And here on Underdog, Ezekiel Elliott goes a couple rounds after Rico Dowdle. So it is like a very interesting spot. But I'm assuming we have Danny out here in the chat. Danny, if you're wanting to hop on, just let me know. I know it's only 10. It's only 10 there. It's only 10. I know you're a night owl. So if you're interested, let me know in the live chat and I'll get you hooked up. But back up on the clock, Cousins doesn't make any sense for us here. I think we can go with the 6th running back, but I don't really like Dobbins with this pick. Could go 7th receiver if we're only going to take 2 tight ends. So let's just do that because my favorite player on the board right now is Xavier Legette. Getting Legette close to wide receiver 70 when he's on a relatively empty depth chart where he was just selected in round 1 of the NFL draft. I'm fine. FSE taking notes in this live stream for tomorrow's video. Finally, my guy. Learning for once. You're watching the fantasy football expert taking notes, saying, hey, I studied, Mason. I finally learned what to do in a draft. Maybe we should take Jamar Chase in the first round next time. But hopefully you have a better shot next year, my guy. Better shot next year, at least in the Flock League. Rin says Legette's tape's nice. Legette's tape better be nice because his prospect profile is garbage. Extremely old. And he wasn't ever hyper productive. Like literally at 23 years old. This was somebody that from a market share perspective, it wasn't just absolutely dominating. So, like, if you look at the numbers of Leggett, it's no bueno. A lot of film guys really, really do like him. Okay. Let's move this over. The other draft that we were doing is off the rails. Danny says, Leggett, enjoyer I am. So with Leggett, and same thing with Sticky Ricky, it's just like they're going after wide receivers or they're going next to wide receivers that I'm pretty confident that they are bad. So even if I didn't like Ricky Pearsall as a prospect, even if I didn't like Leggett as a prospect, it's like, okay, do I want the guy that an NFL team signed off on taking them round 1, or a wide receiver that we've seen be bad on the football field? So I'd rather just go ahead and I'd rather take the guy that is a rookie, that has the round 1 NFL draft capital, and admit that I'm an idiot and I get things wrong all the time. Okay. FSC says best ball is 100% the area to take a shot. Yeah. Like here, if you're looking at this, he's going 40 picks. He's going 55 picks after Curtis Samuel. He's going like 44 picks after Shakir. He's going 42 picks after Shaheed. He's going 40 picks after Dontavian Wicks. Obviously, it's a bad offense in Carolina, but I don't know. And also, when we take Leggett here, we put ourselves in a spot where we can take Bryce Young and get the Deontay Johnson, Leggett, Bryce Young double stack. Okay. Now, let's move this over. We can still definitely go with a 6 running back, right? With our running backs being Kamara, Warren, Singletary, Corum, and Chandler. Bo Nix off the board 162. It is very surprising to see how much Bo Nix has risen based off a couple of decent preseason games. Like, I really don't see what has changed here. Okay. Ray Davis, Bucky Irving are the 2 players that are falling, but the teams in front of us kind of need running back as well. So one thing that we could do at quarterback, we could take Baker and we could just get the locked in points, and maybe that helps us advance a team. We could take Geno and just get the locked in points. We're definitely done taking wide receiver. Okay, Baker goes 165 to Mark. The team after us, at quarterback, they have Mahomes and Burrow, so there's no way that they go QB here. So we'll take Ray Davis and call it a day at running back with Ray Davis as our 6th option. Hunter Henry goes 168. I think we'll probably take an unstacked Geno here, just so hopefully we can advance the team and have enough points to get by at quarterback. And then, yeah, our other quarterback options, we're probably going to be looking at Bryce Young to get the double stack with Deontay and Leggett. Look at Carr to get the double stack with Olave and Kamara. And we could potentially say as well that if we're looking for a quarterback outside of those options, Sam Darnold does fit in with Jordan Addison. And I actually have drafted a ton of Sam Darnold over the past month. As soon as McCarthy was ruled out for the year, I dramatically moved Sam Darnold up my rankings, given the fact that in a large percentage of these tournaments, Sam Darnold was not drafted. So you are naturally getting a little bit of a unique pick every time you are taking Darnold. in comparison to, say, these tournaments where Geno Smith would have been selected every single time. So I definitely like mixing in Darnold here where we can. But someone takes the big Q from us. RIP. Sadly, I wasn't going to be able to get the big Q in this draft anyway. But real quick, of course, if y'all want another draft after this, go down there, hit that like button. If we hit 900 likes on the stream, we'll get another draft going. We have been streaming for 2 hours at this point, but be happy to get another one going for y'all. Okay. Let's move this over. Bateman off 176. Quentin Johnson 175. Pretty much any wide receivers or running backs off the board is a good thing for us. And I will say, I absolutely love the Marshawn Lloyd price here specifically. Okay. Jermaine Burton off the board 170. I definitely have been mixing in Burton. I didn't really have him at all earlier in the offseason. But now that he's fallen in price, and I still think that he has a shot to win the wide receiver 3 job there in Cincinnati, I think we can go ahead. I think you can take him at his new cost. Here real quick, we got an update with the Rashee Rice situation. The NFL, we continue to monitor all developments in the matter which remains under review. We will let the legal process play out before making any decisions. The NFL is not expected to put Rashee Rice on paid leave via placement on the commissioner's exempt list. The league is expected to make a decision about the possible suspension of Rice once the legal process plays out, leaving him eligible to play in the meantime, which is fair, very good news for Rice. And I haven't drafted a lot of Rashee Rice. So, yeah, I mean, this is really good for Rice. I was kind of hoping that Addison dodges a suspension and Rice gets it selfishly for my own teams. Okay. Malachi Corley off the board 183. Let's move this over. The quarterbacks that we were talking about still definitely in play for us. We need to take another tight end as well. We're really, relying on Dalton Kincaid to come through for us on this squad, which I think he can for sure. Maybe we only need one more usable week for someone in the playoff stretch. Okay, DeMarcus Robinson, 186. Let's see, worst case scenario here, we're going to go with Young and Carr. That's like worst case scenario. Goodfellas says, been loading up on Rice since May. I was figuring and hoping it'd play out this way. We'll see how it works out. Yeah, obviously, if you were drafting Rashee Rice back when he was going in round 7, you're just printing money. Like, probably the best pick of the offseason. I wasn't necessarily avoiding him there. I just wasn't targeting him nearly as much as I should have. Like when Rashee Rice was going in round 7, Xavier Worthy was going in round 6. I was definitely drafting a lot more Xavier Worthy than I was Rashee Rice, which obviously I wish I could flip that. Now, the good news is I was smart enough to avoid Hollywood at the 4-5 turn. But the thing is, like, and we do it every year. We always draft the guy that people think are going to get suspended. Like, made a bunch of money drafting Alvin Kamara when people thought Kamara was going to be missing 12 plus games. And then once a news broke, he rose like 3 rounds from our average cost of him. I don't know why we didn't just run back the same exact thing with Rashee Rice and say it's a tournament. We're only chasing upside, but it is what it is. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Sam Darnold 191. We're going to pair him up with Addison and maybe Chandler, as if that matters. I will say, like I was discussing previously, I have taken a lot of Sam Darnold since the McCarthy injury. So whenever we saw that the Browns are possibly planning on trading Winston, that would just be brutal for you, boy. Like, for the love of God, do not send Winston to Minnesota. I mean, I guess I do have a lot of Addison, so it helped me for that reason. But we've been loading the boat on Darnold as of late. And we'll take Bryce Young here as our QB3. Get Young double stacked with Deontay and Leggett. And in the last team, we sadly threw up a prayer asking the New England Patriots not to be a horrible offense. This one, we're going to throw up that prayer asking the Carolina Panthers not to be a horrendous offense. But real quick, we're about 50 likes away from getting another draft going after this. Like we said, if we hit 900 likes, we will get one. So if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button, and we will get, honestly, maybe we'll do a private underdog draft for this next one, which I'll send that link out in the live chat if that's what y'all want. Okay. Probably be just a $3 private draft. Okay, Drake May goes 197. Yeah, get these quarterbacks off once we go Geno, Darnold, Young. Whatever tight end we take here in round 18 to pair with Kincaid. I just need a couple weeks from you. I don't need a lot. I just need a little. Just give me something here. Andrew says, why do you want the stacks? So essentially in these tournaments, you need to have a monster squad. Like if you want to turn $25 into 100,000. So we're trying to correlate our bets. So say I take Deontay Johnson and Xavier Leggett earlier in this draft. The only way this team has a shot to win, say 100,000, to turn that $25 into 100K, or this $50, sorry, is if Deontay Johnson and Xavier Leggett are much better than people expect this year. And if Deontay Johnson and Xavier Leggett are much better than people expect this year, what does that mean? That means Bryce Young also has to be much better than people expect this year. So might as well just go ahead and double down on that bet. Okay. Deshaun says, let's get it. I use Yahoo Fantasy. Do I make the switch to Underdog? What I would recommend for Underdog is you don't replace your main league with Underdog. Underdog's just like some extra fun on the side. Still for sure do your main league. That's the main thing that you're going to focus in on. Just Underdog Fantasy, since there's no time commitment at all during the season. If you go, okay, I want to hop in a couple more $5 drafts. I like drafting. Maybe I want to prepare for my main draft. Maybe I just want to have a couple teams I can root for during the year. Have a shot at some like crazy dollars that obviously aren't available in a regular fantasy football draft because this is a tournament. That's what Underdog's for. It's not to replace like your main Yahoo league. It's to just have some extra fun on the side. Okay. John says, is Taysom Hill off the board? On Underdog, Taysom Hill's classified as a quarterback. If Taysom Hill was classified as a tight end, I would have taken Taysom Hill way long ago. Like Taysom Hill would have been better than the last like 10 tight ends that have gone off the board. Okay. And have we hit 900 likes? Can someone confirm in the chat real quick? We have. So we are going to get another draft going right now. Let me queue up a couple of these tight ends. Colby Parkinson, Theo Johnson, Greg Dulcich, Tucker Kraft. I'm fine with any of you guys. Dawson Knox. Actually, no, we don't want Dawson Knox. We have Kincaid. But let's move this around. And our next draft, instead of getting into tournaments, let's instead get into just a private draft. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy and paste a private draft link in the chat right now. I've been telling people that we were going to do this for a while, so let me get this link. And if you're new to Underdog, I'd highly recommend you hopping in like the $3 drafts. $3 draft here. So I just sent that link in the live chats. Click it if you want in this draft with us. You have to click that link if you want it. Okay. But looks like we're about to fill. Maybe we are. One more person. Bueller. Here we are. Let's go ahead. Let's get it going. We're at pick 6. Honestly, pick 6, I am A-okay with. And this isn't a tournament. Obviously, here when we're just doing a private draft, which if you're new to Underdog, I think this is kind of how you should practice as well. This isn't like a $3 buy-in, $10,000 for first. This is just a $3 buy-in. First place gets $20. Second place gets $9. Third place gets third, because you're only going up against the 11 other teams in this league. So let's go. Yeah, pick 6 is really good. Pick 6, we should get some really strong options here. Like, trust me, I am not going to be complaining about pick 6. Okay. Let's move this down. Cash Clark says, Mason, who's your favorite non-fantasy football YouTuber? That's a very good question. So here's how I consume YouTube. And I know it's very different for everybody. And I think like, and I'm weird about this. For whatever reason, I feel like who I watch on YouTube, it's like very personal to me. Like watching, say, Game of Thrones, like everybody can connect over Game of Thrones, right? That's not like you have no personal connection to Game of Thrones. But what I watch on YouTube is I watch a bunch of like really small YouTubers. Like the YouTubers I watch, they're getting like 100 views a video. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jamar Chase at pick 6. Honestly, I think you can make an argument in this private draft to go ahead and take Bijan Robinson. But yeah, like I'm in like the little YouTube rabbit hole where I have like 3 or 4, and I wouldn't want to say their names on the live stream because literally I'd flood them with so many people. It would just be like a weird thing, like compared to what they're usually getting. And I don't want to make it a thing. But yeah, I watch like a bunch of like really, really small people. Okay. Now, FSC says, check your trade offers in the Flock League. All right. All right. Danny sent us an offer. Let's see what this is. I'm going to need y'all to hit Danny with the boom or doom. Let's see. Like I said, this is the main league that I care most about. This is a double flex. This is a double flex PPR format, 12-team leagues. I have one offer in here. This is from Danny. Okay, let me know if y'all would decline this or accept it. Danny's going to give us Rashee Rice and Ramondre Stevenson. And we are going to give Danny Nico Collins and Trey Benson. Would you rather have Rice and Stevenson or Nico Collins and Trey Benson? And Zach out here saying he sent us a counter for Brandon Ayuk. We'll check that out. Let's see. The chat is telling you no. The chat's saying no. Actually, some people are saying yes. I'm going to take Nico Collins. If I'm selling Nico Collins, I need more than that. Like, it's a respectable offer if I had Nico Collins on the trade block. But yeah, I'm just not looking to sell Nico. I'm sorry, my guy. If I was going to sell Nico Collins, I probably need to be overpaid. I did not see an offer from you, Zach. Let me pull this up again. Did you send it to me on Discord? Actually, but we are on the clock. Derrick Henry goes before us. So it's going to be a very unique start where we're going to go Jamar Chase and Drake London here. Because it's a private draft, we don't necessarily need to have the unique pairings because we're not going up against other people in the tournament. But at the same time, I don't know. It's nice getting Drake London down here at pick 19. We're typically in these underdog drafts, he goes way, way earlier. Okay. Let's move this. FSC says, it's in our chat. I sent it ages ago on Sleeper. Okay. I'm not the best with Sleeper chats. I never check Sleeper chat, to be honest. Okay. All right. Okay. I see it. Okay. Here's the other offer. So keep in mind the context of this league. Zach has Brandon Ayuk on the trade block. I sent Zach Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler for Brandon Ayuk. He declined. He sent us an offer where we give him Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Swift, Devonta Smith for Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Chuba Hubbard. So we upgrade from Terry McLaurin to Brandon Ayuk. We downgrade from Devonta Smith to Chris Godwin. And we downgrade from DeAndre Swift to Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to send a counter your way on this. I think this is a respectable deal to send a counter to. And because this is a private tournament on Underdog, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the running back points. We're going to get Isaiah Pacheco at pick 30. And yeah, everybody in the chat, please let me know. Would you accept this? Would you sell Terry Swift, Devonta Smith for Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Chuba Hubbard? I'm not. Here's my counter for you, my friend. I think we get this done. I think we set it in stone. The first trade in the Flock League. Bam. Sent you a counter. Let's do a virtual handshake. Let's get this done right now. Let's get it tweeted out. Let's make a YouTube short on it. The first trade in the Flock League. Going down between Zach and me right now. Let's see what he says. Okay. Oh my gosh. Zach saying, hell no. The counter is I send Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Swift. He gives us Brandon Ayuk, Chuba Hubbard. Keep in mind, this guy's trying to unload Brandon Ayuk. So we send McLaurin and Swift. He gives us Ayuk and Hubbard. Professor X telling us it's a good counter. Come on. Come on. Terry's him. Did you not know that Terry is him? Do you not know that this is the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin's ever had, Zach? Come on. Says you hate Swift. If you hate Swift, why'd you offer me for Swift? My guy, I have so many running backs, I don't even know what to do with them. We're going to go ahead. We will take Patrick Mahomes in this private league. I'm not necessarily caring nearly as much about stacks as I would in a regular tournament on Underdog. But of course, we're going to probably be doing a lot of these private leagues over the next few days. We have the Flock tournament tomorrow night on Underdog, so we're definitely going to be doing our 3 drafts in the Flock tournament, though. But if you wanted to draft with us on Underdog, we're doing this every single night till the season starts. It's the best spot to get an extra fantasy football draft because there's no time commitment at all during the season. You can find the link in the live chat description comment section if you want to join a draft with me. Code FLOCK will get you my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet, plus a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you will also get the Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard, and you will get a Travis Kelce special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1 as well. So make sure you take advantage of it. Okay. But let me see a running back, Zach, on my team that you would maybe do the deal with other than Swift. Because we all know my team in the Flock League, I am loaded up with running backs, and I know you could use some help. So if you don't like Swift, you don't like Eckler, what about Tajay Spears? I know you're a Spears guy. Let's work something with Spears. What about Terry McLaurin, Tajay Spears for Brandon Ayuk? Let's go. I know you like Spears. I know it. Louis says, what happened to the public 12-team drafts? They're all there on Underdog. All you have to do is hit 2024 NFL season from the drop down. We're going to go ahead. We'll get another wide receiver in. We will take George Pickens. Okay. Okay. George Kittle off the board at 55. And yeah, I think Pickens is definitely a fine price point if you don't think that Ayuk's going to get dealt. Obviously, the issue with Ayuk is, and the issue with Pickens is Ayuk may be a Pittsburgh Steeler this next year, which is just not going to be nearly enough passing volume or touchdowns to go around in the offense. Cash Clark asking if we've ever played pickleball before. That must be a joke. I am a crusher at pickleball. Okay. Let's move this over. I'm trying to look for Zach's message. All right. Zach may have bounced. I may have to send this to him on Sleeper. All right. I'm sending that offer right now. Danny says Zach and him are getting an offer. I'm sure y'all are getting a deal going. I'm sure. Okay. I'm gonna withdraw my Ayuk offer. Last thing I need is an Ayuk offer sitting out there, and we get news of him getting sent to Pittsburgh, and I'm stuck with him. Here from a tournament perspective, I think we may go ahead and take Keenan Allen because it's going to be a very unique pick at 67, and it's going to be hard to find wide receivers later. But specifically in this private underdog league where it's just who can score the most points through the regular season, and I don't care about any other drafts where any other players went, we'll go ahead and take Joe Mixon here. Go Joe Mixon at 67. Okay. Zach asking us to make Terry Devonta Smith in that previous deal. I got news for you, my friend. Smith is more valuable than Brandon Ayuk at this point. Go and look at every single draft we have done tonight. Every single one, Devonta Smith goes ahead of Brandon Ayuk. The last thing I'm doing at this point is adding Smith to get to Ayuk. If you talk to me really nicely, maybe I would swap them straight up once we get Ayuk confirmed to the Niners. But I think if you're trying to offload the risk of Ayuk at that point, I'm going to need some juice on my side. Zanny says that's underdog, though. Y'all change rankings based off the weather. Maybe. But yeah, Smith has gone literally ahead of Ayuk in every single draft we've done today. Keenan Allen, if Keenan Allen falls this far to 78, I'll take him, sure. Wasn't expecting it to happen, but we have a very well-balanced team now. Wide receiver, we have Chase, London, Pickens, Keenan. Running back, we have Pacheco, Joe Mixon. And quarterback, we have Joe Burrow. Okay. Danny, there's a 0% chance y'all get a deal done. Y'all are not getting a deal done. Okay. So after we take Keenan, Jackson Smith and Jigba goes off the board at 79. A really quick, just to make sure y'all know, if y'all are getting in like the private drafts on Underdog, since this isn't a league where you're trying to optimize for the fantasy football playoffs in weeks 15, 16, 17, you're not in a spot where we need to be chasing upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. So rookies and guys facing possible suspensions or players that are going to be injured at the beginning of the year, they will be worth less because we're just trying to think about who can score the most points during the season. Okay. Swift goes here at 82. Let's move this over. Javonte off at 85. So what's nice with this is when we have everybody that's from this live stream in this league. If I crush it, yeah, maybe it's only we win $20 instead of like 100,000. But it's like everybody gets to check in on this league and say, oh, yeah, Mason won it. Mason won it, of course. Of course. So we're going for street cred here in this $3 buy-in. This isn't about trying to win the $20. This is about trying to just win the league. Just lay down the law here. That's what we're doing. Okay, Warren goes 89. Pollard goes as well. Yeah, so you are seeing these running backs slide up, which I think they probably should in this private draft. I don't know if we should. We will go Jameson here. It's definitely a lot less exciting to go Jameson in one of these drafts than it would be a tournament where Jameson just has such a high ceiling from week to week. I'm sorry, for like a individual spike week perspective. But still, I mean, that could come into play here as well. Paul, I know you've been here with us for a long time. Happy to have you officially. But let's move this. After we go Jameson, we're probably wanting to see some running backs make it to us, of course. Okay. Sutton off 94. Danny sends trade soon. We'll see. The thing is, Danny, I'm sure, is willing to stay up till 2 a.m. making a trade. And Zach lives in Australia, so they very well may be up there forever. You want to tell hi to you want to tell everybody hi? Come here. Come here. I know. You want to tell everybody hi? Say what's up, everyone. I know, baby. I know. We'll go on a walk soon. I know you're my good girl. I know. I know you're so sweet. You're so sweet. And we'll go soon, okay, baby? There you go. There you go, baby. All right. But Brian Robinson, 97. Yeah, so running backs are moving up pretty much across the board. Now, let's move this over. DeAndre Hopkins falling. I honestly wish, and this is what we were saying in round 1, too, where in this private draft, you are going to see running backs going earlier. Like Chuba Hubbard here goes 99. And yeah, I think Chuba Hubbard's maybe worth more than Jonathan Brooks in this draft in particular. For the love of God, not in your regular fantasy football draft. But yeah, I wish we would have gone Bijan Robinson over Jamar Chase. Next time I'm in one of these drafts, especially with y'all, I'm going to go Bijan over Chase. Okay. Now, Singletary goes. Dear God. Hopkins should be ready for week 1. We're getting him at pick 102. Hopkins really is ready for week 1. I'm okay taking him at this price point. Is it the most exciting thing in the world? Probably not, but it is what it is. Okay. Hey, stop that. Okay. Curtis Samuel goes 105. Romeo Dobbs 106. We're really wanting wide receivers to go. You stop that. Danny says, sadly, no deal. You curse us, Mace. I know it's no deal when Zach's trying to offload Ayuk and he's asking for Devonta Smith and Tajay Spears. They're like, there's no way y'all are getting a deal done at that price. Okay. Blake Corum goes 109. We need a running back. Tight end would be nice too. I wasn't super excited about Bowers specifically in this format. Okay. Zach says, I genuinely don't understand how Smith is ahead of Ayuk in rankings. One's going to play football week 1. The other one may not. I've heard, and of course I'm an idiot. I get things wrong all the time. But I've heard that for you to score fantasy football points, you have to play football. So if Brandon Ayuk does not play football, he's most likely not going to score as many fantasy points as Devonta Smith would. At least that's my read on the situation. But like I said, I know I'm dumb. I get things wrong all the time, but I've done a lot of research, and I think you have to play football to score points. Okay. Now, let's move this over. We're going to take Spears at 115. So now at running back, we have Pacheco, Joe Mixon, the guy we're going to send with Terry McLaurin to Zach to get Brandon Ayuk and Tajay Spears. Quarterback, we have Mahomes. And wide receiver, we have Chase, London, Pickens, Keenan, Jameson. Zach, just to give you, like, realistically, and this has happened in every single draft I've been in tonight. Terry McLaurin goes at the end of the 4th, the beginning of the 5th, and Brandon Ayuk goes at the end of the 3rd. That's the gap between those two guys. It's about a round at this moment. So a round gap between those wide receivers. And Tajay Spears. I think that bridges the gap. I think we're good to go at that point. Okay. Ezekiel Elliott, 121. Zach says, that's not an accurate representation of sleeper drafts in our league, though. Well, we drafted our league on sleeper back whenever it looked like Ayuk was just going to be a Niner, and this drama was over. We were wrong when we did that. We were wrong. Okay. Jacoby Myers goes 122. I mean, we can take another receiver. Would I be super excited to do so? Probably not. If we do take a 7th receiver specifically here in this private draft, we'd probably be done taking wide receivers. We'd be done taking them. But I know who we want to go with, and we'll probably end up just getting him. Do we go Lockett? We don't have that bye. There are a couple of quarterbacks later that are about the same. Wide receivers, like the guys we're looking at later, Michael Wilson. So let's take Lockett 126, their 7th receiver, and let's call it a day here. We'll call it a day. Danny wanted A.D. Mitchell. This is like just a private league with these 11 other managers, and it's just cumulative points through through the 17 weeks. So I'm fine with Lockett. Okay. Let's move this over. Eckler off the board, 127. Tua goes 129. Let's move this over. Goff 131 is very interesting. I would have loved to get Goff on the way back around. I was thinking that, honestly, we were probably going to go Goff if we didn't take Lockett. I think you can make an argument that Tua scores more points than Goff this year, but the thing with Goff for our team in particular is he had a different bye than Mahomes. And if we're just looking for cumulative points 1 through 17, I definitely think we can use the byes as the tiebreaker. And let's move this over. And of course, if y'all want another draft after this one, we are going to get a either 4th or 5th draft going tonight. I don't know. We've been streaming for 2.5 hours. If we hit 1,200 likes on this live stream. So if you want another draft, go down there, hit that like button. I am done at 7 wide receivers, taking wide receivers through the rest of this draft. Probably not going to be drafting another. Okay. Herbert goes. Nick Chubb is like the last person that you want in this kind of format. So I think instead we will take Dalton Schultz. You really don't want Hawkinson in this format either. You don't want those guys that are going to miss a large chunk of the season. In Best Ball Mania, take them because they maybe have crazy ceilings for weeks 15, 16, 17. But here it doesn't make sense. Dries says what? 1,200? Yeah, it's in increments of 300. Increments of 300. But, which I think we have over 1,200 people watching this. I think there were 1,800 people at one point. I don't know how many there are now. But, okay. So after we go Schultz, I know what position we want to make it back to us. I don't know if it will happen. Okay. Jaleel goes 143. I like the Jaleel pick, especially now that you have no Pirine there. No Pirine definitely makes it a more interesting selection in my mind. We're on the clock. I think, no, Chubb went. Hawkinson's fallen. The guy that actually wanted was Kirk Cousins. We actually do have Cousins stacked up with London here. And stacks are still advantageous in this, even though it's not a tournament. Main reason being, right, is we take London round 2. Our bet with London is, okay, if this team has a shot to win this league, more likely than not, what we are wanting is we are wanting to see Kirk Cousins top 5 in the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So if we're already making that bet, it does make sense to double down on Cousins here. And I think Cousins just scores a ton of points for this price. Chase, welcome to being a member of the flock. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. And yes, Danny, I am streaming tomorrow if you wanted to hop on. It'd be nice if we can do like a little test, because what I'll probably try doing is pulling your stuff from OBS. That way I can move things around and we're not stuck on StreamYard. StreamYard would be tough. Okay. Perfect. I'll keep me posted on what time you're available. Even if you want to hop in like halfway through the stream, it's fine. Just whenever you want. I mean, we've been streaming for like 3 hours, 4 hours a day at some points as we're leading up to the season. There'll be some of these days that we're going to be getting like 5-hour draft streams going. Okay. Luke Musgrave off the board, 159. Let's move this down. Young Locke, happy to see you. Long time no see. Okay, so definitely done at wide receiver, as we've already mentioned. We have 7 very solid options. We have Chase, London, Pickens, Keenan, Jameson, Hopkins, Lockett. Don't really need any more receivers after that. So we are going to be quarterback, running back, tight end through the rest of this draft. And then we go ahead. We take our second tight end with Kmet at 163. I mean, Kmet, obviously, usage with Gerald Everett has been very concerning in the preseason, but I think Kmet's much better than Gerald Everett. I know it's dumb to just go through and boil it down to that, but my personal read on the situation is there's a chance that Kmet does just earn more work over time. Okay. Smooth this over. Conklin goes 167. I definitely think we can take a third tight end here. Like, the issue with us taking 7 wide receivers the way that we did is this is probably one of those drafts where you can kind of get away with going a little light on wide receiver and maybe the extra running back, the extra quarterback, the extra tight ends. Where when we take 7 wide receivers as early as we did, which is still a fine thing to do on Underdog in general, especially if you're drafting, say, like in a tournament, it does just make us to be in a little bit of a worse situation as we close in here. Jay Wallen says, if you collect cards, buy heavy on Sam Howell. Also, stock up on Kyler while it's still cheap. I'm not a cards collector, but I don't think Sam Howell's going to have much of a career at this point. Of course, I could be wrong, but from a fantasy football perspective, I would not be buying low on Howell. I think we can go a couple different ways here. We still need running back help. I made the bet on Roschon over Khalil Herbert. I'm feeling very bad about that bet right now. I wish I had more Khalil. I wish I had less Herbert. But it kind of is what it is. We will take Herbert here at 174 and maybe balance out our exposures just a little bit. Okay, Marvin Mims, 177. Just as many of these receivers going as possible. Okay. That boy says, hey, Mason, will you help critique lineups? Yeah, we're reviewing rosters every single day over on flockfantasy.com. You can submit it to myself. You can submit it to a bunch of different creators that we have there. I would just go over to flockfantasy.com, link a team, whether it's on Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo. You should be able to link. And, yeah, submit it there. And if you have trouble linking, you could just submit screenshots too. But if you're submitting screenshots, definitely make sure you let me know what the league settings are. Okay. So moving this over, I think we can go with the third quarterback if we want, if we are just chasing raw points. We're still quarterback, running back, wide receiver. I'm sorry, quarterback, running back, tight ends. If we were to go with the quarterback, I want somebody that hopefully has a different bye than weeks 6 and 12. I want somebody that is going to be starting right away. I think that is Will Levis. So we'll take Levis 187, and we're going to be done at QB at this point. Okay. Let's smooth this over. So receiver, we have Chase, London, Pickens, Keenan, Jameson, Hopkins, Lockett. Running back, we have Pacheco, Mixon, Spears, Khalil. We're going to need another running back in this draft. Quarterback, we have Mahomes, Cousins, Will Levis. Tight end, we have Schultz, Komet. I want to remind everybody this is a private draft. It's not a draft on Underdog. I'm sorry, it's not a tournament on Underdog. So it is going to be a little bit of a different strategy where stacks aren't going to be as important. And instead, we're more so just focusing in on how we can find the most points in weeks 1 through 17 rather than upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. Okay. Fidel off 191. Okay. So running back, tight ends will be the move here. I think if you were chasing upside for the final 3 weeks, Ben Sinnott is definitely the pick. Senate, I apologize. But I think instead, I'm just going to take Tank Bigsby because looking at the running backs that'll be available after him, I think they're all about the same versus tight end. I do think you have a considerable drop-off. But Zach says potential trade incoming. Is that coming to me? Are you and Danny figuring something out? But let me know. Let me know. When you say potential trade incoming, is this something we're going to have to figure out on the live stream right now? So I may need the chat's help with this. Chat, stay tuned. Okay. April says she was in Pokemon. I was a massive Pokemon fan. I did Yu-Gi-Oh! A tiny bit. And by a tiny bit, I mean I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! For like 6 months maybe. But I was obsessed with Pokemon for like 6 years. And I still see Pokemon. And I love the design of them. Like I walked by like a squish. I can't even imagine the last time I bought like a stuffed animal. It must have been like 15 years ago. Like obviously my parents would have bought it for me. I don't think I've ever bought a stuffed animal for myself because I don't think I had the money to. But I walked by Walmart. They had like a Pokemon Squishmallow. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was $30. I came so close. I kept on picking them up. They had like a Squirtle. They had a Charmander. And I was just going back and forth thinking like, what do I want? What do I want? But yeah. Let's see. So Zach didn't let us know if the trade is coming our direction. But tight end is going to be the move. If Sinnott makes it to us, maybe we go ahead and we just pull the trigger. Kevin says, going on a riff, 100%. Once you know we're to the point talking about Pokemon, the stream's maybe gone on a little too long, but of course, I'll be streaming every single night. I will be doing these Underdog drafts. Tomorrow, we actually have the Flock tournament dropping on Underdog, which I'd love for you to get in with us. But yeah, if you wanted to join a draft, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. Underdogs, no time commitment at all during the year. It's why it's the best place to get an extra fantasy football draft this year. And if you use code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP cheat sheet, plus a special Christian McCaffrey pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1, and a Travis Kelce special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1. Just going to make sure that you are in one of these states on Underdog. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you, and really hope I get to see you out and draft with you in the Flock tournament tomorrow night.